Today I'm sharing one of my more personal stories that happened quite recently. It's spine-chilling, gut-wrenching, and just a tad bit freaky. I'm sure you guys will enjoy it. Once again, the budget and my patience for this video are where I am not. So I'm just gonna use like a bunch of bullshit animations and sometimes a bit of shitposting to, really sell the effect that this is in fact a quality work of art. Alright, so it was like one of those days where I'm free for like no particular reason, and I thought it was a great way, to get myself a little bit of exercise, to touch grass for once. I decided to go outside. Little did I know that was one of the worst ideas I've had the entire week. I decided that the best way to get myself some exercise was to partake in consumerism, one of my basic 5 a day. So I decided to walk to my not so very local computer selling place. Well, it was like fun and dandy until I started noticing something in the corner of my eye. A pair of pupils mounted on a set of eyes, mounted in a skull, mounted on the neck, and yada yada, you get the idea. Somebody was looking at me. So we were at this traffic light, and then that was when I basically started to notice that he was looking at me for a damn long time. And I like looking at people too. So I looked back at him, and then he looked back at me, and I looked back at him, and then he looked back at me, and I looked back at him, and then he looked at me, and then the light turned green, because of course it has to do. It's a fucking traffic light. You don't expect it to be red all day. The feeling when you're being watched. Yeah, that was like that, except I know I was being watched because he was looking at me and I was looking at him. So, how in video games, these NPCs often just stare at you without blinking for minutes at a time. And I know he ain't going after my wallet because, my wallet's pretty empty. Because the first thing you need to know about my kind of consumerism is that I don't actually consume, but instead I stare at things until they get uncomfortable. Coincidentally, this is the same kind of stare that the person was using on me. Ideally, under normal circumstances, i.e. you are not a serial killer, you would be slightly put off by this. I was slightly put off by this, which is good to know that I am in fact not a serial killer. Now, the bad news part of this is that he started following me. I still wasn't exactly sure whether he was following me or not, so I basically did my best to walk as quietly as I can and just listen to the footsteps behind me. There were footsteps behind me. I don't know how far he was from me, but I'd make a reasonable assumption and guess he was pretty close. So I took my chance at the nearest highly reflective, conveniently placed shiny metal grate, and I took a good look at him. He was 1 meter behind me. Well, so now things are, worse than they seem, but of course I could always be mistaken, Objects in mirror may appear to be closer than actually is. But, I really gotta start doing something before he pushes me into the local white van dealership or something. When it comes to the rare times in situations like these, it's good to make a really quick decision. Because, it could cost either your life or your virginity, neither of which I'm ready to give away just yet. So, I decided to face him head on. This was really some sort of fucking last stand situation here. I assumed the most annoyed pose I can, hands on my hips, extremely annoyed expression, deadpan eyes, and just stared him right back. Surprisingly, that actually worked. He continued staring at me, and when I refused to budge an inch from the spot, so yeah, I just stared at him until he walked away. End of story, right? I think a good 15 or 20 seconds had passed before the motherfucker dead ass came back and stared at me like I owed him something. Like the man dead ass pulled out his best puppy eyes expression and basically begged me using his eyes to allow him to continue following me for the next 5 to 10 minutes. Bitch, I wasn't gonna allow that, not in a million years. So I started concocting a plan. Okay, at this point, I am left with 2 choices. Run as hell, back to my home, tails between my legs, or run the furthest away from my home as possible with my tail between my legs. If you think the answer is A, run back home, I don't know, skip 20 seconds or something. something. And if you think the answer is B, stay right here. You are incorrect. That is because I never have my tail between my legs. I stand up straight and, oh, never mind, I ran away. Alright, the main thing to keep in mind is that when somebody is following you and probably trying to touch you, never go back home. Alright, you've locked yourself into your home. You win, right? Wrong! They know where you fucking live now! So when you realize that he is no longer following you, you could take a public transportation and head straight back to that used computer shop. Because, you know, I was still trying to buy PC components. I can't let that man spoil my day. Otherwise, I never get things done. You can't let little obstacles such as child molesters get in your way. No, you gotta man up. You know, you gotta stick it to him. You gotta go there and perform some capitalism. So here's my extremely complex 28-step plan. Step 1, Step 2, Step 3, Step 4. Increase the rate of which you are performing steps until you are very, very, very fast. This is known as running the fuck away. It sometimes really makes you want to think, like, how much game do you have to possibly lack in order to run out of young girls to follow, instead choose to follow fucking me out of all people? Like, damn, son, you don't even have enough riz to stalk people? That's crazy, brother. You should go kill yourself. I managed to, like, leave in the end, but that shit pissed me off. For all the time he was following me around, he was just fucking losing aura, you know? Like how a snail just oozes like slime all over the place, except that's just his aura leaving his entire fucking bloodline because you can't even follow somebody properly. You don't seem like a menace. You seem like an idiot. Bro, you're not even the main threat in my life. My main threat is fucking exams. You are like the small side villain. You're the guy who robs convenience stores in a superhero movie. You are nothing. And you will be forgotten in due time. So right now, all I need to do is just laugh at your ass and get my subscribers. Well, I guess the true getaway from this story is that nobody should ever be as attractive as me, because that just leaves me into trouble. So anyways, that's it for this episode. I'll see you in the next one, where I will hopefully not get touched.